Hello, welcome back. Hopefully you enjoyed the last video I made where we got to this point on our folding knife. Today we are going to be working on the lock bar insert and the pocket clip and grinding the blade, heat treating it, all that stuff. So with that being said, let's get started measuring out and cutting out a lock bar to then mill a channel for. Okay, so I have found my first major mistake. I thought it was going to be correctable, but apparently not. If we look in here, you can see that this part, the finger choil of the blade, is not in line with that of the handle. That is because I cut over the line when I was making this blade. I thought it was going to be all right. I could just sand the handle groove here to match it. It's the same on this because these handles are the same, so it doesn't match like that. But now that I am seeing that, it means that the detent ball would basically almost fall off right here. It'd have like 5/1000ths pretty much, and that's just not going to cut it. So we're going to make another blade more like this one, where it fits a lot better. I'm even going to extend this part out just a hair so that it fully matches that contour of the handle, and that should work out a lot better. So, time for a quick montage of making a new blade. Okay, so I am finally, after about maybe an hour and a half, I've got this new blade. It is fitting up great. I've just got to trim the tip a little bit. The whole blade is oversized, just a hair. If you look here, we've got lines that we're still yet to grind to. So that's all good. See over here, we've still got to grind down to the handle. So yeah, that's all good. Now we're going to get set on finally cutting the inset lock. I've had several delays that I did not show you, but now we're going to do that. Okay, so I've made a fixture to hold this channel at a right angle of the jaws of the vise. And it's just, we've got a pivot reamed hole in here, so it's going through the pivot, and then also this is going through as well as being clamped down. So we should be tight enough. I've not had any issues milling like this before, plus we're taking pretty light cuts. Anyway, I need to go up to that line up in there, and that will get us so that our lock bar can fit inside. So hopefully this goes well. I'm not really sure how I'm going to cut this like 40-degree angle. I'm gonna have to make something to hold it, I think. We'll see. All right, so got it shaped. It's looking good. It's just a hair too thick right now. I'm going to need to just grind off like 5/1000ths, but that's all good. It fits very well. We've got enough play in it that I think when it is opening up and out, it should be just enough to not hit these side front walls. But I've got it marked out, and we are going to now drill through with this drill bit, which I cannot remember how thick it is. I think it's 89/1000ths. You'll remember if you saw the last video. So we're gonna drill that out, not while it's on this, but then once these holes are drilled, I will drill through these holes into the handle to do our mounting, and then we'll tap and get it ready for a screw. Okay, so I put a super thin piece of G10 in. I just pushed it in and then it bent around, which is forcing this down and back. So it's pretty tightly held in there, the insert. Now we're going to spot drill with the same drill bit that I used on these holes, just ever so slightly, and then we're going to switch to a smaller one. And because I don't have a DRO on my drill press, I'm just going to have to just ever so slightly do it and then take it out and measure the holes to make sure that I don't go too deep. Okay, so we've got this finished. I surface ground it, and I drilled this hole, but I forgot to film doing that. Anyway, I did a test for the detent ball in this piece, same material as this. It looks good. Now we're going to put this one in. And these are ceramic balls from Skiff Workshop. So we put it in like so, and then let me zoom in real quick. Put it here. We're just going to press it in ever so slightly, just so that it's about halfway in. That's looking pretty good. That should work just fine. I'm going to grind a hair more off of this side, I think, but otherwise that's pretty good, and I'll chamfer these edges. Otherwise it's pretty good, and I'll probably clean up all this stuff in here. It doesn't really matter, but might as well. Okay, I've wrapped it in tape, and we're just going to slightly bend it this ways. So let's do that. I think that'll be enough. If I need, I can bend it more. Okay, so now I need to drill a very small hole right at the end of this track. This track is from the detent ball wearing on the blade, and when the knife is together and closed, the hole in the blade, this ball will click into, and that is what holds the knife shut. and keeps it from opening until you are ready to deploy it. So this could be a time where I am going to mess up a blade and I'll have to make a third blade. Hopefully not. We shall see. Alright guys, so I got the detent working. It's pretty good. It's a little bit tightened down more than I would at the end, but here we have it. Now I'm going to heat treat the blade, and because it's Magna Cut stainless, I have to wrap it in foil. So that's what we're going to do now. Actually, I might grind this flush with here first. So I think I'll do that, and then I'll show me wrapping it in foil. But it's looking pretty darn good. Alright, so I completely forgot to film heat treating the blade and surface grinding it, so that's something. But just trust me when I say that I did heat treat it and that I'm not scamming you. You can see heat treat lines there. Anyway, we are going to now finish grind the profile all in here, everything pretty much. Finish grind our backspacer flush, and I am hopefully not going to forget to film that, so let's go do that now. Alright, so it was going good. I got the blade and I was just grinding this choil here all flush, and then I realized in doing that we are basically going to have to grind fully into that track there, which is not ideal. So I think, even though I don't want to, it would maybe be fine, but I'm doubting it if I just left it like this. So we're going to make a new blade, another one, a third blade, as well as a new lock bar here. Because the lock bar, I just put the detent too far away from the stop pin track. If it was, it needs to be a little bit closer to the stop pin track for it to work. Also, I'm going to do a new way of doing the detent lockup. So I'm going to drill through the scale so that I have a, once I put the blade on and it's closed, I can drill through the scale, through the lock bar, and into the blade to make my detent hole. And that's going to be way easier than trying to line it up literally completely blind. So while that is annoying, it should be best in the long run. I'm not going to film any of this because you've seen me make a blade twice and make the lock bar once. It's going to be the exact same thing. So I will get back to you once I've made both. Alright, so we are back. New blade is just about to the point of the old blade. Our new detent track is much closer to the edge here. Now, it's very not noticeable, but when you put it in the handles, it is. If we come over here, we can see we've got a slight rock to the blade. So if I press down here, there it's lifting up, there you can see it. Then if I press on this side lifts up, which you can also see there. So I'm going to use my carbide tipped straightening hammer to just tap some straightness into this. Basically what it's doing is spreading the material on this side, therefore going from this to more straight. So let's go do that. Okay, so I've rigged up this angled thing so that when we push it in, it will grind up to that white line there that is parallel with the platen, and that is for grinding the lock face. That's just a rough how far I need to get, and then I'm going to just be grinding off like a couple thousandths and checking to make sure that it fits up. So now I just need to tilt the platen forward, and then we'll get on with doing that. Well, it is now bevel grinding time. I have marked out our bevel where to grind to and whatnot. I borrowed this 14-inch contact wheel from my friend Sean. I'll put his link down here and in the description. He's been very patient. I've had this for a lot longer than I thought I was going to need it for. But he's been very gracious, and thank you very much for letting me use that, Sean. Anyway, let's get to doing some hollow grinding. Alright, so I have ground this. I'll be grinding it just a hair more to finish grind it, but it's like 95% of the way. Now I just need to grind the swedge, and for that I made a jig to do that, to grind the swedge, and that's a 4-inch hollow as opposed to the 14-inch for the main bevel. And the reason I'm using a jig for that is because I did this other side by hand, and it's just nowhere near as good. This is just one of the scrap blades. And so I'm just gonna do a jig for now. It makes it a lot cleaner than by hand. So the jig is just for the swedge. I'm still doing the main bevel all freehand. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now for the main blade. Alright, so I made this jig here to round and contour these scales. That's kind of what it looks like. This is literally just a 36 grit, so it's pretty rough. I'll be taking it higher. Basically, it goes on the grinder and you just rotate it back and forth as the belt goes down until you've ground off your edges, and it is nice and round like like so. So we're going to do that now to this one. Okay, so I just chamfered the inside here of this scale, just at a 45-degree angle. Pretty small, it's just to break it. It's so that when the knife is closed and you flick it open, your hand does not or your finger doesn't gash along a sharp edge like there will be back here. And so you can see it comes to a nice point right at the apex of that swoop on the handle. So I'm going to do that on this one now, and that should be good. We are getting close now, almost to the point where we're going to make the pocket clip. So yeah, let's go do this, and then we'll start just doing some of the handle finishing work. Okay, I kind of had just drawn roughly where I wanted the holes to be, ended up having, while measuring, to move them over just a hair. I know I need to cut my fingernails, they're getting ridiculously long. Anyway, we're going to come over here, drill that out with a 89 thousandths drill bit, and then we're going to come over to the mill, put it on this little fixture I made, which will hold it centered under the counter bore, and we can counter bore it for these screws. Okay, so I tried to grind it. That didn't really work, so then I put it in the mill and was able to mill it. That's fine. You can see this side's a bit more washed out. This side is crispy. That's because I'm going to grind a larger radius than a 1/4 inch here, so that's just fine, as well as the kind of point that goes like so. Now I'm going to go to the grinder, just kind of profile it. It's just roughly drawn on what I want the profile to look like. So, yeah, let's go do that. Okay, so we are now going to tap this second hole here. I already did this one. That's how I was able to hold the pocket clip down and drill through it in the right spot. I think I'm kind of getting the hang of this tapping thing. I've broken 3 or 4 taps on it, but they were all like $5 ones, so it's not that bad. Anyway, I think I've got it dialed in now. This is a thread forming tap, and it seems to be working pretty good. That's how I did the last one. I could do the thread cutting, but we're going to try thread forming. So hopefully it works well on this one as well. Ooh, yes. Go through it a little bit more. Check this one. Perfect. That is exactly how I want that to go. Super easy. It is now all the way done except for finish sanding, so that's what I am doing. I'm just going to finish sand all the parts, kind of boring, might not show all of it. Heat color the clip and backspacer, and then this thing is done besides sharpening. So hype yourselves up, this is going to be very cool, hopefully. Alright guys, so we finished the first folder. It has actually been finished for probably almost 3 weeks now. I've been carrying it, that's why it's got some scratches and it isn't perfect condition, but overall I'm very pleased with it. Thanks again to Dylan Tanner, I'll link him here and in the description. I'm actually going to see him tomorrow and I will show him it in person, but he did a tremendously good job of doing the 3D modeling, the CAD design, and as well as some general questions. So that basically wraps up today's video. You can check me out on Instagram here. I'll have a link to that in the description, as well as a link to my Facebook group, and you can join that. So thanks for watching. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.